Well, James, welcome. This is James McGoldrick, the director of CYO Athletics in Los Angeles. First of all, tell us, James, what is CYO for those of them that may not know?
Great first question. I get it all the time. Catholic Youth Organization is a interscholastic sports program that was started, founded over 100 years ago in Chicago. It has been in Los Angeles, I think, since the late 30s, early 40s. We provide interscholastic sports participation for pretty much every elementary school in the Archdiocese of Los Angeles, other than a couple of outlier areas, and provide 10 different sports to kids 3rd through 8th grade.
Okay.
We estimate there's about 20,000 students participate each year in one of our sports at least, if not multiple sports. So we're kind of like an NCAA or a CIF, if you will, of Catholic elementary school sports.
So what's the goal? What's your foundation? What is the goal? Because I think the beauty of a CYO organization is that you have faith as the foundation.
Yep.
And hopefully having faith as the foundation gives you and the organization a little bit more leeway when maybe there is a little dissension on the sidelines or whatever it may be. So first and foremost, from your own words, what is it that you expect sportsmanship wise from your coaches, your parents, your players?
Well, you're absolutely right. It is based on faith and the Catholic faith. And my expectation is that everybody will behave, and follow the tenets of what the kids learn at school, what the parents learn at Mass. It's a pretty clearly defined behavior pattern for our community. And I'm thankful that we don't have transgressions often. It's not a frequent situation. But when it does happen, it's upsetting.
Yeah.
Whether it's parents, coaches, players, any of those. I mean, those are really the three areas that that we have to deal with. But the expectation is just do the right thing as you've been taught your whole life for the most part, and also putting it in context. This is Catholic school grade sports, right? It's a lot of things that it's not. I mean, there's a lot of things that it is spiritually, of course, and it is a ministry. But keep it in context with everything else that's going on with their children, notably travel sports. Whole different deal.
Yes.
Pop Warner, whole different deal. I mean, in terms of the time commitment, the money you're putting into it. So when I get, we just had playoffs this weekend for volleyball. I have several emails in my inbox from parents and coaches giving me their opinions on things, which is fine. It's their right to do it. We respond accordingly and appropriately. But behave and have fun and participate in a sense of understanding what you're doing and the environment that you're in. That this is not going to change the world.
Right.
Lasting memories for these kids. I talk to adults that played CYO. Still remember the championship game against Saint whomever 25 years ago, and that's beautiful, and I love that. But the aggravation. It's just unacceptable, and I come down very swiftly and usually quite harshly on anything like that.
But it must be so challenging for you because you mentioned travel sports and Pop Warner and things like that. And we are living in a results-based society. And winning, we want to win.
Yes.
And I noticed on your website you talk about it's not about the winning, it's about developing the whole child and a healthier child.
Yep.
But how do you, or in your opinion, how do parents get around CYO is really for fun versus the end-all, be-all winning a championship? I mean, what is that challenge like?
It's hard to get into someone's brain, mom or dad, from the game last week or what have you. But, I've been in youth sports for over 20 years, 15 years with CYO, and I was in tackle football and lacrosse world, competitive world for several years before that, and concurrently. So I've seen pretty much everything.
Yeah.
I could read a 8-paragraph email and understand in the first 2 sentences whether it's legitimate or not.
Right,
I mean,
right.
I could write the thing myself,
Right,
basically.
right.
And it's interesting when these things come through. I mean, again, I got a couple today, and I just check the paragraphs before I even read anything. It's like, how far is this guy going to go down the path on this deal, as opposed to just hey, the refs weren't great, yada yada yada, as a play-by-play
Sure.
breakdown at a game that I was not at.
Right.
For
right,
instance.
Right.
So I appreciate the passion also, as we spoke earlier, but it's all got to be measured and conceptually. Again, you're on a blacktop at a Catholic grade school in La Puente,
Right.
playing volleyball outside. I mean, are you really going to get that worked up about it? And what I try to instill with these parents, which I don't really interact with them very much, thankfully,
Right.
is support your kids on the court or on the field of play, and let them play and do their thing and stay out of it as much as you can, other than positive cheering. And you've seen when we've had playoff events here at St. Genevieve, my pregame speech is keep the cheering fun, keep it positive, nothing negative, follow the rules,
Yep.
and sit back and enjoy the game. And it does take out 98%.
Yep.
There's always the one guy that's gonna chirp, but then we can single him out and
Right.
and deal with that accordingly on an individual basis.
Well, something you just said there about your pregame speech, and I think that's great that you come out, you set the tone.
Mm-hmm.
This is the way it's going to be. I thought about this, and CYO does such a great job of educating coaches, be it Play Like a Champion or Positive Coaching Alliance, some of the organizations that set the real tone.
Yeah.
Do parents go through any education?
Oh, yes, they do. We just started a program this year in LA called Parent Like a Champion.
Yes.
Also done through the folks in South Bend. We did a trial run with 3 or 4 schools last spring.
Mm-hmm.
Got decent results.
Right.
We've launched it fully this August to all of our schools. It's going to take a while for it to process through.
Yeah.
It's a great program. It's online. It lasts an hour. Costs $20. For mom and dad. And its intention is to give a guide to parents to help them help their kids enjoy the experience.
Sure.
Right? It's a behavioral exercise. It's a virtual workshop, so there is interactivity with it. So it's kind of like an introspective, like look at yourself or watch a video of this parent berating their child or berating an official.
Yeah.
And put yourself in that person's shoes. And other CYOs across the country have been using it, and I have talked to several of my counterparts at those places. And one great story is another fellow of mine, colleague of mine that works in another city, doing a basketball game, and a parent came up to him. He was like, can I talk to you? And he's like, oh wow, what's he going to say? Yeah. And the parent just broke down in tears because he had just taken this class.
Wow.
It's like I realized what a terrible parent I am. And it was my colleague's a wonderful guy. He's like, I was just blown away.
Yeah.
That I thought this guy was getting ready to rip me a new one, and here he is, apologizing and self-reflecting on himself about he's got it all wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you asked, because we are really hoping, with 20,000 student athletes, we're looking at 30 to 40,000, depending on parents that should be taking this class. Several schools have adopted it fully, and they're short of demanding.
Right.
Can't really demand it, but it's an hour. It's really worthwhile. I've sat through it, succinct, concise, to the point, and I really hope that more and more schools take it on.
Well, I'm glad you shared that story, because again, this is part of the conception of this podcast, is for parents to take a look at themselves, coaches, referees, whomever it may be that's working with our young athletes. Take a look at yourself. I've had to do a lot of self-reflecting, in my 30-year career as a coach.
Right.
I have to look at the good and the bad. and how can I improve? What is it that I can do? So this podcast, we're hoping that this is what we can achieve. Very similar to this dad recognizing after taking that course, wow, I can do better.
Yes.
I can do better.
Yeah.
And so, because again, we just, it troubles me when I'm on social media and I just see fights and referees being assaulted and just things that are so outside of the norm, I guess, when I was playing as a youngster.
Sure.
And things have changed. I always say I'm an old school coach, but I have to adapt to the new ways. And you mentioned Pop Warner football. 7-on-7 football has become huge now. But there's not a whole lot of governance in 7-on-7.
No.
And what I'm seeing now at the high school level is a lot of athletes are coming from travel teams or a 7-on-7 football, and the type of behavior that is not only tolerated but accepted,
right,
almost warranted, is spilling over into middle school and high school sports. So, any suggestions? I mean, what do we do? How can we, again, continue to educate parents, educate young athletes that this is not the end-all, be-all? Or is it?
Right. I don't know how we can stop it. I think kind of what the CIF has been doing this year with transfers, I think is fantastic. They had a guy from one of the schools in the Trinity League got X'd this weekend.
Right.
After 9 games.
Yeah.
And, they've never really taken that stand before, had the wherewithal to do it or the interest. I think they do now.
Yeah.
I think Commissioner West is on top of it. And I think that will send a message to, hopefully, to parents like, if you're going to transfer legitimately and not just hop around. I think passing league or 7-on-7 is akin to that because these guys are playing 7-on-7 year round now.
Yes.
And it, when my son was in high school playing 7-on-7, it was 10, 12 years ago, it was still pretty violent.
Yeah.
Fairly new, but still pretty violent. Guys aren't wearing pads. I mean, that would be my concern as a coach. Like, do we really need to be doing 25 7-on-7 games, or does our kid need to be going to Vegas and playing in a tournament? I'm not in that world anymore, so I'm not overly exposed to it. What we get exposed to are parents choosing to send their kids to travel ball events or 7-on-7s as opposed to CYO events.
Right.
Primarily playoffs. The regular season, it is a regular season.
Sure.
And even asking us to change games because all the girls are going to Vegas for a volleyball tournament in the middle of volleyball playoffs. We don't accommodate that in any way, shape, or form, but it does affect and impact our playoffs. We've had schools that have just said, we're not going to the playoffs because all of our girls or all of our guys are going to be in Tulsa for whatever reason. And not everybody can afford to do that, certainly.
Yeah.
My kid played travel ball, and it was expensive.
Yes.
And did it pay off? Yeah, maybe a little bit. We played in college for a bit, but in hindsight, I would have done it very differently. In terms of my children.
But do you think that's the goal? Is the goal with travel, with club sports? Is it to play in college? Is it that Division I scholarship? What is it that, because you mentioned money, I mean, parents are putting a lot of money into travel, into private coaches. I'm starting to see now, which I'm sure you as well, but kids are missing school. They're missing days of school. It used to be tournaments around the weekends. Now it's, during the week, everyone's going to a showcase. So again, for us, working in education-based athletics, A, where's the educational part?
Right.
And B, what's the end goal?
I do think it's the desire to play in college. It's become so glamorized, and now you have NIL. You're having NIL trickle down to high school. I read a story about a kid that was offered $300,000 to transfer to another high school. I've heard that a couple of times. Going to out of state, getting couple hundred grand to play high school football or any high school sport for that matter. And no matter how many pundits say their chances of playing college football or a Division I sport are pretty small.
Pretty small.
Pretty small.
Yep.
Bosco, Mater Dei, those guys aside, you got some great athletes here, and hopefully they'll play if they want to, even if it's JUCO, or Cal Lu, a D3 thing, you're still playing. And I saw an article interview with Charles Barkley. He said, if you're going to play in college, you want to play in college.
You want to start?
He said, I've started 4 years at Auburn, but if I wasn't starting, so go to where you can play. And that goes for high school also.
Absolutely.
Right? We got schools that have 3 deep, of D1 guys. It'd be nice if we could spread the wealth, to some of the other schools, and flatten thing out. There's a big disparity now in high school sports. It's just the dream and the fantasy, and now it's the money.
Yeah.
I could make a couple $100,000 if I switch high schools, and if I get into college, I can probably make some more money. And I think that's a driver for a lot of people is the financial.
Yes.
Just to be quite candid with me, for me, it was all ego, with my son. I mean, he was a wonderful athlete, a football and lacrosse player, and I wanted to, in retrospect, right? And it's like, this is an ego. My kid's gonna play, division lacrosse, and it wasn't the right choice.
Right.
It didn't work out.
Yep.
He got injured, didn't work out, didn't really want to do it in the first place. Got a big student loan now he's got to pay off, and they're and on and on and on. And I probably was told that stuff when I was going to these recruiting seminars or whatever to tell you how to do it. But hindsight's 20/20, right?
Yes.
And I learned, he's the only son I have, so I didn't have to. I didn't have to go through it again.
And we do, as parents, we want the best for our children. Sure. And you mentioned ego. Yes, it's you can go to the water cooler and say, hey, my son or daughter's playing Division I.
Right.
And I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
But I look at that as nowadays, and working in club soccer, working in high school sports, is it more the parent's dream than the kid?
I would say yes. Maybe not, 80%.
Yeah.
The kids don't know.
Right.
Right. The kids don't know. I mean, we were big in Gold Coast youth football. When my kids were in that age group. Met some phenomenal athletes, and a couple of the kids in our program played in the NFL. Yeah. Played D1. Were notable, recognizable. That's 2 out of several hundred.
Right.
And these guys practice every day.
Yeah.
They knew that they wanted to play in the NFL, certainly if not D1 football. They all did. They reached their dream. The chances of that happening is minuscule. Otherwise, the kids don't really know. I mean, I'm a good football player at 8th grade, probably pretty good, maybe as a senior, but I'm not a college guy. And physically, and again, not just out of personal experience, my son was a great football player. He was not a college football player. Wasn't heavy enough.
Yeah.
Wasn't agile enough, tall enough, fast enough, smart enough. But there was no position that I could see him playing in college football where he would succeed.
Right.
Just physically didn't have what it took. He didn't know.
Right.
And nor was he really jonesing for it.
Right.
He kind of did his sports thing and he petered out on it. But, in the Pop Warner realm where you're practicing every day a week, at least before school starts, but 3 days a week, you're driving an hour and a half to a football game up to Santa Barbara, you're going to Palmdale. It's a commitment.
It's a commitment. Absolutely.
And I loved every minute of it. My family loved every minute of it. And it was what it was at that time, and prepared him for high school football, where he did very well. But I think it's a rare kid that really knows what he wants to do, and what it means to be a college football or college. I keep talking about football. I'm a football guy. What it takes.
Absolutely.
And it's not really that fun for people.
Well, and you're mentioning what it takes, and I say this a lot of times to athletes that I coach. Does your work ethic match your dream?
Yeah.
And in a lot of kids, it doesn't.
Yeah.
They have this dream, they have this goal. Their parents have this dream, they have this goal. But they're on social media or
Right.
they're on whatever it may be. They're not training, and they don't understand and realize to that level. I look at myself. Had a great high school career, played Division I college football. Had some opportunities at the NFL. I knew that I wasn't at that level.
Yeah.
I knew NFL is no joke.
Right.
You're talking about the best of the best athletes. I mean, those guys are freaks of nature. And I knew, and I always say, great high school career, average college career as a Division I football player, which I have to give a big shout out to Coach Carroll. Pete Carroll was and Monty Kiffin were my coaches in college.
Nice.
They gave me an opportunity out of high school. But to go to professional football, no way. No way.
No.
And so, thank God, my parents weren't pushing me like that.
Yeah.
And, I got an education and got a college degree and now working in education and loving it.
Right.
But I agree with you. Sometimes it's maybe the parents' dream, which we have dreams of our kids being doctors or being lawyers or whatever it may be. So, but it's interesting.
It is.
I wanted to jump to sportsmanship real quick. Because I just saw yesterday, after 2 high school football games, at the end of the game, walking through the line, shaking hands, and big fights broke out.
Yeah.
I love what you do in CYO, which is the prayer with both teams before games begin. Great sportsmanship, great faith-based opportunities for our student athletes. Is it wise to shake hands these days after a game?
I think it's appropriate. Wise, I just think it sends a different message. I mean, I've encountered that in having a contentious football game. It's like, we're not going to shake their hands because they're bad sports. But in my mind, that just propagates the bad sportsmanship. Case-by-case basis, maybe. When we were playing high school ball, we didn't go on a line. We just walked out in the field and you saw your buddies, or it was more of a scrum type thing, not the best word to use, I guess, the question, a gathering, and it was organic.
Yeah.
Right? And if someone wanted to seek you out, they would seek you out, whether to give you a hug or to, punch you in the head. But it never really happened, so that certainly elevated the contentiousness. If it's Roosevelt and Garfield, and they played the other day, there were 14,000 people there. That thing's been going on for 90 years. There's underlying things going on in those two communities. It's a serious rivalry. I'm not the person to ask for that situation, but I guess that during the course of the game, the coaches came and said, "Hey, let's wave to each other across the field." I guess, but I would prefer that it continue, because I think that's the right thing to do. It's sportsmanship, whether it's whatever the sport is. And I think it's just giving in to the mob, where we need to, I think, hold the line. It's like, this is how you're supposed to behave, and this is, you just battled with these folks for a couple of hours. Maybe don't like the way it ended, but show some respect and some dignity for yourself and for your school. And I think that's where it gets lost. Like, they're not thinking about the big picture of my school, or my parents watching this, or my girlfriend or my boyfriend watching me get in a fight. It's just, it's negative all the way around. There's nothing positive about it. So, maybe a way to curb that on the back end, I know, which is kind of tough to sort through a bench clearing brawl and who did what, but CIF did it a couple times this year already. We had some big Donnybrooks early this season.
I mean, I think it would be great if athletics could be, if athletics could spearhead. Because in our society right now, just in everyday life, it's contentious. There's a division in our society. And you see it in sports. And unfortunately, sports can be such a beautiful tool, as on your mission statement with CYO. It's meant to foster good sportsmanship, teamwork, healthy individuals. But again, we've gotten to this point where we're seeing it all around the country. The negativity. And again, I know we're not going to sit here and solve it right now, But if you could maybe think of one thing that could be done at the CYO level to keep sportsmanship at the forefront and to keep winning in its place, if you will.
Yeah.
Because any sport, the objective is to win. But how do we keep winning in perspective to where it's not the end-all, be-all?
Well, I think sportsmanship is at the top of the heap with CYO. I don't see a decline or, I guess, an increase in unsportsmanlike behavior necessarily. Again, I got 3 emails this morning about questions about certain things. None of them egregious. It wasn't like, someone got punched in the face, although it does happen occasionally, and boys will be boys, right? I mean, I don't tell mom that, but flag football is still a physical sport.
It's still physical.
Basketball is a physical sport. Cross country is a physical sport. We have issues with cross country with guys
Really?
giving elbows. Like it's a contact sport.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, you may not think it is, but we define it as such.
Yeah, I don't think it's crossing. Okay.
Yeah, but it can get pretty. And I'm not a runner. I don't think you're a runner
No,
either.
I'm not.
I don't have a lot of experience.
Woo,
Yeah, I'm not a runner. I think the principles of CYO are still hold true at the top, at the top of the priority list. Again, it doesn't happen very often where I need to instill some discipline or penalize somebody,
Right.
whether it's suspending them. In my 15 years, I've given a lifetime suspension to one coach, in 15 years. And other than that, we've suspended people for a couple of years, but really rarely. I mean,
Sure.
you get kicked out of a game, you're out for 2 games.
Yeah.
And that's it. And there's really no discussion on that, whether it's a player or even a parent or a coach. So, I think my effect is really after the fact, because I'm not going to, again, with so many parents and so many schools, it's tough to
Right.
cover every base. And as you know, not everybody reads all communications
No, they don't.
that come from the office.
Right.
But it's after the fact where I'm made aware of some altercation of a physical nature or behavior. Again, mostly parents tend to be the primary offenders, and we just come down very hard on it. And again, we don't deal with the parent directly. I mean, it's really kind of amazing that with CYO we have very little contact with parents.
Wow.
And we have very little contact with the students themselves.
Sure.
We don't go to all the games.
Right.
And the students are the school's responsibility, not ours. We interact with them in the playoffs, certainly, but pretty much putting a medal over their neck is the extent of it. And we try not to have dialogue with the student athletes because they're not our kids.
Right.
And we're cognizant that mom's in the stands like, why is that guy talking to my kids?
Sure.
We don't do that. Usually, if it's usually positive or giving a guy a high five for playing a great game. So, I think our priorities are in the right order. What you're talking about is not necessarily germane to CYO.
Yeah.
It does happen, but what you're seeing and referring to, that's rampant out in more the public sector, I guess. Or however to put it.
Sure.
More competitive.
But I like what you said, though. And I know you're no nonsense. You come down on it.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I think that's where some of the fear has become. Some of the organizations are fearful of coming down on maybe the parent, the coach, whatever it may be. And that's, again, it feels like it's just running rampant. You mentioned CIF, our California Interscholastic Federation. They have come down hard this year.
Yes.
And again, this is my 26th year as an athletic director in high school here in California. And boy, oh boy, CIF is lowering the boom.
Yep.
And it's great. I think it's great.
I do too.
I think it's great because hopefully it sends that message that you're not going to cheat. And it's interesting because I was talking to a player the other day about cheating, dropping the pass, knowing that they dropped the pass, but still faking and putting it up in the air.
Right.
And we had a conversation like that,
Yeah.
about that. And the student said, or the athlete said, well, that's just part of the game. I said, so cheating is a part of the game?
Yep.
I said, yep, sure is. And I said, okay, well, could cheating be part of the game if the doctor who's going to operate on your mother cheated to get his medical license? Well, that's a different story.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No.
No, it's not.
Yep.
And so to have conversation like that, to put it in maybe a way of making it more personal, could help.
Yes.
And I segue into personal because I want to ask you now, obviously director of CYO, but what were you like as a parent watching your son at football games?
I knew this one was coming. I knew this one was coming. And I've been reflecting on it since we first spoke a couple of weeks ago. I was going to ask you this question. I was vocal. I mean, I was a coach.
Yeah.
So I wasn't in the stands, screaming, at the officials, because my son played 7 years at Pop Warner, and I coached him, I think, 6 of them. In the moment, the referee's an idiot, and referees do make mistakes, and they'll be the first to admit it. Your guy, Baldy, that was here, last time, probably, wanted to talk. I mean, there was certainly behavior that I'm not proud of, that I engaged in, never to the point of just words or, call it, but and I did a lot of the aggro things that parents did off the field, again, trying to get my son exposure, working camps and, writing articles. And I don't think that's over the line for, at that time, my son was big and fast, and I could see him playing college sports.
Sure.
It wasn't beyond, it wasn't a fantasy at the time. I mean, he was a legitimate candidate at that time. So a little more invested in his development. But my daughter played lacrosse also, and she was arguably probably better athlete than he was. But she wasn't a sports person.
Yeah.
She was just naturally good athlete. She played volleyball and lacrosse. No interest in beyond that. I'm guilty as charged. But I think I wasn't the worst.
and I think we all are. And
of course.
And again, I've been there. I've been that guy. Some may still say I am that guy. I don't know. But I'm trying not to be. Because again, the bottom line is, I think we can always learn as coaches, as human beings. We need to continue to learn and grow. And so I want to, for myself, continue to grow and be the best role model, mentor for the student athletes, but also to, referees, to opposing teams and coaches. And it's just very important. So, no, I appreciate the honesty.
Well, I'd like to tie that into the previous conversation, about, fighting after a game or during a game. The coach is crucial in all of this. I mean, I'm a former coach, you're a coach. It all goes from the coach down. I mean, yes, the parents have influence in it, but the parent is not, I don't believe, say, hey, Johnny, go, slap that guy upside the head.
Yeah.
I think at practice during the week, the attitude of the coaching staff, not just the head coach, the coaching staff, and regardless of where you come from or what school you're at, there are aggro coaches all over the place, and we don't need to mention any particular schools, that we're both very vested in the Catholic high school community.
Sure.
Some are better than others.
Yeah.
Right? And that runs the gamut. But that's where it starts. And if coaches are condoning it, and if not encouraging it, then that is the problem.
Yeah.
And how do you solve that?
Right.
Right. And that's, I don't know what it's in for them. They're not going to D1.
Right.
I mean, are they going to get a job at Notre Dame as a football coach? Probably not. They're coaching, local ball here. So I just want to tie that back. Being an aggro coach or parent in my time.
Yeah.
But I was cognizant when I was coaching, my behavior reflects on the kids. And we had a very strict, mindset about behavior, and sportsmanship was top of the list. We used to do a walk-away drill. You push the guy, and what do? You walk away.
Wow.
It was powerful.
That is powerful.
It was just a drill we did, once a week. Okay, walk away drill. I push the guy, and no one wants to be pushed, whether it's the big guy, the little guy, and you could see the reaction on the guy that got pushed.
Yeah.
It was like, walk away.
I love that. I mean, I know our head football coach here does a great job. I mean, because, and I give him credit for this, he is a faith-based man, first and foremost.
Yeah.
He always says that our locker room is an anointed locker room.
Nice.
But he does something very similar. He tells our players, put your hands up.
Yeah.
Don't engage, put your hands up. But I like the drill. I mean, my goodness. Repetition. If you do that weekly, that kind of repetition. Well, see, that's that. Wow. Okay, that's a good one.
Well,
that's a good one.
It was my head coach's drill. JT was a great coach.
Yeah.
I'll give him all the credit for it. But when I first saw it, I played Pop Warner.
Yeah.
And certainly made an impression on me.
Yeah.
But getting that, I'm like, wow, this is good stuff, and it works.
Wow.
Kids in the game are playing so and so, and the guy gets pushed, and he just walks away, and the other guy's like, "What the heck,
Love
man?"
that. Love that. Yes.
Yeah. So it works both ways too.
Yeah. Wow.
So feel free to use it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Something I wanted to ask you, and I've been not struggling with it, but thinking about it a lot. Is there still a place for the participation trophy?
Yes, there is. CYO is one of those places.
Okay.
We're getting away from it. I'm not a big fan. Coming into CYO, I wasn't a big fan of the participation trophy because you got to earn something, and certainly in league environments, AYSO, baseball, everybody gets a trophy, and that statement itself, is a negative connotation, but that's how I feel, how I felt. Giving a kid a ribbon for running in a race out of, there's 150 kids running and everybody gets a ribbon.
Yeah.
Okay, well, those ribbons, they're $2 a piece, maybe $1 a piece. It's not really a cost thing, but volume-wise, we're obviously very cost conscious, but that's not really the motivator. But I think it just minimizes the trophies up the ladder.
Right.
Right. I mean, it takes away from the champion or the runner-up. Pop Warner, we got a conference runner-up trophy, conference runner-up patch. I'm a patch guy. I put it on the jacket, along with 2 Super Bowl finalist patches. Who never won the big game. Conference runner-up. I go, I didn't make it. They gave it to me. Right? I'm going to put it on there.
Right.
So, it depends on the sport. I guess if there's more to gain, then the reward should be more meaningful.
Yeah.
Again, our organization is pretty subdued. I know it's important to the kids, and as aforementioned, the guys that played 30 years ago remember their game. People call me about records. You have the playoffs from 1972, which is great, but we don't. We don't have that data.
No.
So, and the age factor, I think, 3rd, 4th graders, second, maybe give them something.
Yeah.
It gives them a template to like, okay, there is something to get by competing.
Right.
But they also see that the older kids are getting bigger trophies or a medal, and they're getting their picture on the website. I mean, that's the reward. We list the top 3, top 5. It varies by sport, certainly. But, I guess long and short, I'm not a big fan of rampant award giving.
Yeah, I don't think I am either.
No.
I mean, honestly, I just think that hard work.
Yeah.
Hard work.
Yeah.
I believe in positive reinforcement.
Sure.
But I don't think that the positive reinforcement has to be with a trophy. I was just curious what your thoughts were on that. Well, last question for you.
Okay.
And I don't know if it affects you so much with CYO, but if I were to ask you to wave your magic wand, what would be one thing that you would like to see, maybe from the negative of youth athletics, turn into a positive?
It all comes down to parent behavior for me. And that's the biggest issue we have is adults, not just parents, but coaches and parents or grandparents. That is the biggest, it's the most upsetting thing for me because it shouldn't be happening in our community. I mean, I know that's idealistic, But the fact I can count transgressions on one hand per season, that's a pretty good, out of several hundred games, we have, 5 or 6 things rise to my office that warrants a principal call or an AD call. That I think the parent behavior, kids aren't the problem, right? A kid's getting a scuffle, that doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
You don't, as long as they don't punch him in the face or
Sure.
kick him in the head.
Sure.
Kids will be kids, and most of our sports are contact related. So that doesn't bother me. It's the parents inserting themselves and taking away from the kids with their behavior. Because Dad's going crazy and Johnny's there. It's like, what's going on? Why are you, on the field screaming at whomever? That would be, I guess, the biggest change that I would like to see.
Hear, hear.
Yeah.
I'm with you, because it causes me anxiety to go to some of the youth games and just hear, the screaming.
Yeah.
That's why it's called "What Are We Screaming About?" The screaming, the berating of 6, 7, and 8-year-olds.
Yeah.
And it just makes me nervous to some degree, to where I don't even want to go to the games to watch.
Right.
Because it's just so crazy. So thank you for saying that.
Sure.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Anything I can do to always help CYO, I think you do a terrific job.
Thanks, Coach.
And I'm so happy that I've gotten to know you over the past couple of years, because we just joined CYO not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
So St. Genevieve, we're new. But you just do such a great job. And so, so thrilled, so happy.
Thank you. And, great partnership since, we assimilated the Valley. And it was a long time you guys were out of the fold. But the partnership with St. Jeff, it's a beautiful, beautiful gymnasium. We want to be here. Staff's great. Everything is good. But we can't do it without you. Not all of our Catholic high school partners are as generous with facilities as you are, and a few others, which is, that's another challenge we have with the Catholic high schools. And we're trying to work on it, but we're not anyone's real priority.
Yeah.
We're kind of down low on the priority list as far as the greater church is concerned, and I knew that going in.
Yeah,
and
of
I
course.
told my staff that. It's like, no one's got us at the top of the calendar.
Yeah.
But we do have great partnerships like St. John's throughout LA, and we're grateful for them. I'm grateful for you, and I really appreciate you giving me a chance to come on and do my first podcast.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. You've been great.
Thanks, brother.
James.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you,
Thank
brother.
you.
All right.
Thank you as well.